Hello, eighth grade parents and students. Eighth grade social studies, Mike Maltese here. I appreciate you guys taking just a couple minutes out of your day to sit down with me virtually and just discuss what exactly is this year going to look like, at least at the start, and how we're going to face the new challenges that are in front of us. So let's start off by looking at just some basic information here. I'm going to go over the class, the structure, and of course, a little bit about myself. So first off, let me tell you about myself. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, raised though, educated in Arizona, attended high school at Desert Mountain, and got my undergraduate at ASU in 2015, which would make this my 6th year as a teacher, all of which have been at Ingleside. Now, I want to start off talking about the subject of discipline because I think it is a very critical topic every year, but especially this year since we're starting online distance learning. Like it says, your child's education, it's way too important for anyone to disrupt it, to get in the way, to prevent it. Because of that, I think communication is going to be key for us. Because of the limitations put in place, we need to make sure that we are communicating, we're staying in touch. That way, we can handle any disruptive behaviors very quickly, very appropriately, and make sure that nobody's education is being disrupted through online learning. What our curriculum is going to look like. So in this first quarter, we're going to be looking at media literacy. We're also going to be looking at the foundations of the US government. That's going to tackle the Revolutionary War, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, of course, the Declaration of Independence, media literacy, talking about how media affects the world around us, how we interpret media, and how we use media. In the second quarter, we're going to be looking at citizenship, how to obtain it, what it means, and then, of course, the civil rights movement, past, present, and possibly even the future, what that might look like. Third quarter, we have immigration, human rights, and genocide. So immigration, we'll be looking at global immigration trends throughout history. Human rights and genocide is one of our more mature topics. We'll be looking at basically atrocities committed throughout history, what genocide is, how it can be not necessarily prevented, but trends you can see leading up to genocide, and how it has been tackled throughout history. Then in the fourth quarter, we have our final unit. We'll look at terrorism, environmental issues, as well as economics and personal finance. Throughout these different units that we'll see this year, we're going to have a couple of different ways of instruction. We'll have small group and whole class discussions, of course. We'll have times where I break students off into separate groups where they can discuss with each other and build their ideas that way. We'll have times where we come together as a whole class and talk that way and just build our ideas together. There will, of course, be lectures. There will be readings. I'll show you guys where you can find those readings in a little bit. But of course, we'll also have simulations, reenactments, games, stuff where the students get very active, very involved, and they are working basically to build their own understanding through those games and simulations. Occasionally, we will use documentaries because sometimes they do provide a very good visual that we need. And there will also be a couple projects. We tend to have one big project every quarter going with one of the units. Textbooks. I do not typically use the textbooks very much. I find them kind of dull, very basic information, not very interesting. In terms of the readings we do, those will all be out of articles and documents that I will be providing for the students on my Google Classroom. I will show you guys how to get there in just a couple minutes, but that's where you'll be able to find those meetings, and they will be attached to any assignments that go with them. Assessments. So we will have different assessments throughout the year. I don't personally like to test based on knowledge of history. I like to test more so based on student skills to analyze text that is related to the historical topics we're talking about. I find that's a much more useful skill than actually testing, do they know what year something happened in, which is more of a trivia fact, as opposed to can they analyze this historical topic, which is what we will be testing on. We will have smaller writing tests over some specific topics where students will demonstrate their knowledge and understanding of a topic that way as well. Communication, like I said, guys, I strongly believe that this year communication is going to be key. We need to make sure that we are constantly staying in touch and you are staying up to date, parents and students, on what we are doing in class, just to make sure that nobody's falling behind. So like it says here, my weekly agenda, I'll post a new agenda every single week, and you can see the past week's agenda on the same page as well. That will be on my Buzz page. It will say classroom schedule. To keep up to date on what is currently happening in class, of course, you can always check my Google Classroom page as well. All assignments, all documents will be on my Google Classroom page under the Documents section, the Assignments tab. For any quick information I'm putting out, though, I usually keep that under my Class Stream tab on Google Classroom. So any immediate updates or anything like that will be under the Class Stream tab on Google Classroom. Your student's going to definitely benefit the most if they are checking these frequently. They're making sure to look at the schedule every week. They have a copy of it somewhere, preferably offline as well, and that everybody's familiar with it. Email. Please make sure you email me if you have any questions at mmaltese@susd.org. Students may email me here too if they have any questions. I try to respond to all emails within 24 hours. Having said that, sometimes I get backed up in emails if it's a weekend. It could take up to 48 hours, but during the week especially, I will try and respond to everything within 24 hours. If there's like a test or a project and we're still doing the distance learning, I will definitely be checking it a lot more frequently within that 24-hour period. To this page right here. So this is the class stream, that front page, where like I said, I'll post all kind of immediate, very quick information you need. Classwork, this is where you're going to see all documents that you need to read, all assignments that you need. It's all going to go on this page right here.